And Mr. E Recipe Shop. I just ate a light breakfast and we had a bunch of garden cucumbers, so I decided I would pickle them up. We already did 3 jars this year and already ate 1.5 jars. They're very good. This is a no preservative probiotic pickle, so no vinegar is involved. Since there's no preservatives, that means you can't keep them. You pickle them for about a week, you refrigerate them, and just be sure that you eat them. If you try to just keep them in the refrigerator, they'll turn to mush. So this is really simple. We've got our garden cucs, and then garlic. I just cut the ends off and then peeled off the husks. I've got 3 jars here. I don't know if this is going to fit. If not, I can recycle the jar that we emptied. I've got 4 cups of water, and then I've got salt. This is probably not going to be enough water, so I've got an extra cup that I can just kind of top them off with. And what I'm using is repurposed honey jars. So we buy honey like that, put it in tea and coffee and stuff, and on waffles, and end up with a lot of jars, which come in handy. And then I've got my lids. So I'm taking the garlic and just throwing them in the jars here. Equal portions. What I've already got in the jars is dill in all 3. This one has a little more dill than the rest. This one has some celery stalks. And then this one has fennel and dill, and then now they've all got the garlic. So you take your cucumbers, break off all of those little sharp things. You want to cut both ends off at about 1/4 inch, especially the flower end, which is this end. See, this one's still got the flower on it, because there's enzymes in there that will make everything get soft. So you just cut both ends off, and then I like to quarter them into spears, mainly because these are so big. If they were smaller, then I would do them whole. But yeah, these need to be done in quarter spears, like so. And you want to make sure they're not so long that they're going to stick up near the top, because they do need to be completely submerged. If you have any cucumbers sticking above the brine, it just doesn't work out. So you want to, shove as many in there as you can, and that's about as high as you want it. You don't really want it any taller than that. And as you can see, 1 cucumber fills it in pretty good. Basically, 2 cucumbers is really all you can get in a jar, maybe 3. So I'm going to keep going at this and show you where I end up. Got them all in there. Some of them were longer, so I ended up cutting them in half. That's what I filled this dill jar with. And then you can see there's some halves in there too. But plenty of head space in all of them. That's probably the tallest one, but it's still, a good bit down. So now I'm going to add 1 1/4 teaspoon per cup of water. So we've got 4 cups. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't have to be perfectly exact. If there's a little more in there, oh well. Try to stir that up. Now, once you cap these, this is it. You put the salt brine in there, make sure they're covered, you cap it, and then you put them in a dark place, like up in a cabinet. Check them every single day. Pop the lid, you'll see bubbles coming up, and then tighten it back up. What you're doing is you're burping off the pressure. If you don't do that, your lids are going to bulge, and it could blow the lid off, or worse, it could bust the glass, which would be terrible because you'd waste all your pickles and make a mess. So yeah, it's very important that you relieve the pressure once a day. If you miss a day, especially early on, it's not going to be the end of the world, but don't just forget about them. You only want them to pickle for about 1 week. Now, supposedly you can add more salt and let them pickle for a little bit longer, but what we do is about 5 days with 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 teaspoons per cup of water, and they turn out great. These things taste really awesome. If you're a pickle lover, and this is so easy to do, I highly urge you to do this. Your brine is pretty well mixed up. There's a little bit of salt down in the bottom, but nothing really we can do about that. So let's just fill a jar. And it's covered. Look at that. It took 2 cups of water. And it's covered. Okay. Sprinkle some salt in there. Yeah, make sure your hands are good and clean too. You don't want to like handle meat and then try to do this because the fat will interfere with the process. So yeah, like I said, it's first thing in the morning. I haven't handled any meat at all. And I washed my hands with Dawn dish soap. No, I'm not sponsored. Okay, so next up is 2 1/2 Looks about like a half, right? Probably a little more. There we go. And then I'll add the water and fill this one up. So while that one is melting, we'll just take our lids here. Jars have been cleaned, rinsed out really good. You want to use just cold water. You don't want hot water. I know that hot water sometimes makes things dissolve a little easier, but it's also not going to be good for the cucumbers. So we'll just go ahead and cap these up. You want them nice and tight. You don't want them loose. You don't have to, go crazy with it, but you want them airtight. And then just put them, like I said, up in a cabinet where it's nice and dark, like so, next to the toothpicks. And then check on it tomorrow, and then the day after, and relieve the pressure. And then in 5 days, they will be ready to refrigerate. You do not want to leave them at room temperature after they've become pickles. After about like day 3, when you pop it to relieve the pressure, it'll smell like a pickle. And so after day 5, taste it. If it's a pickle, put it in the refrigerator. And that's it. That's how you make a pickle. So give this a try. Tell me if you like it in the comments. If you do like the video. All 5 of you that are going to watch it. So thanks.